You're listening to Inches and Cubes. This is a bilingual Canadian Warhammer podcast.
It's not
Each
your
week,
joke. It's not your joke. Go on.
it's an homage. Each week, I, Point Click Nick, tell a story from Warhammer stuff to my friends.
Paul, Mr. Fistfowler.
And today, very special guest.
You can pick your own nickname.
Okay, I was thinking about this on the ride here. Marco, how hip is too hip? Ferraris. That's bad. Marco, hot red Ferrari.
You get 2 takes, and then we
That's
pick
it.
one.
Boom.
Sit tight and enjoy this musical break. And we're back for episode 17. We're going to be taking a kind of different tack today.
dive.
Yeah, so if we talk about the meta sometimes, now we're talking about the meta around the meta.
So that's the meta with a tiny little 3.
Yeah.
So it's still the meta.
Mm-hmm. It's all shadows on a cave wall, for God's sakes.
It's true.
But if we're going to talk philosophy, let's...
Yeah.
It's so fizzy. So we are drinking today a Saint of Circumstance from Collective Arts. This is a citrus blonde ale, and it's a very pretty can.
That's one of my favorite beer names.
Collective Arts.
No, Saint of Circumstance.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say
And,
one of those is a lot better than the other.
Connor asked me a question on Friday night, and I didn't tell him the right answer, and it just popped into my head. Their pink coriander and sea salt Goza beer is actually called Prophets and Nomads, not Saints of Circumstance. That's this one. This is a citrus blonde ale.
Don't be afraid to move in close to the mic either.
Oh, is that required?
Well, I mean, it's just nice. Helps
Yeah.
me. I don't have to adjust levels. Anyways,
All right. Cheers.
cheers, man.
Happy to be here. This can in the middle. It's fine.
Showing off the art. How have I never thought about that joke?
What?
So we're going to be talking about Games Workshop as
Yeah.
an entity.
The actual... That's really bitter.
That is got some tang. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's funny, because I've had that before, and it's not usually that, like, tanniny tart sort of thing.
It's nice because it's like you taste it and you think it's going to be a sour, but it's not at all,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
I had this most sour beer ever on the weekend. It was just like drinking a bottle of like
sour.
malt vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
That's awful. Yeah, I mean,
It was a trip.
yeah, I scribbled down some notes, but that was, like I said, hours ago, so I don't actually know what they all mean. So we're just going to pretend they're true.
Well, you're a lot further ahead on the planning process than we are. But first, since you're a
cheers.
very special guest, you need to give us your hobby resume.
Yeah.
My hot, like,
How did you get into the hobby? What armies do you play? What do you
Cool.
enjoy about the hobby?
yeah, for sure. I like the hobby because people need hobby supplies. They come to pop. No, I got into it. I got the 3rd edition box set. So, going all the way back, I went over to my cousin's house, and he had Chaos Space Marines, like all the old stuff, and I thought that it was like the coolest shit ever. So then that was like right when 3rd edition had come out, and my dad got my sister and I the 3rd edition box set, so that was all branded as like Black Templar, and they were introducing the Dark Eldar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the best box set, like awesome John Blanche cover and stuff like that.
It was a Sister of Battle?
No, it was Black Templars.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was super sweet.
And it came with the old ruins and the jungle trees.
Yeah. I still have all that stuff. So I got into the Space Marines. I painted them all as Ultramarines because I thought they were the best then, but I've got the street cred since 3rd edition of liking them and playing them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like my sister and I got into it. Was never like super into the hobby part, and then I was involved probably about till 5th edition, which is when I was like things were getting like I should probably do well in high school to get into university.
Yeah.
And then I just like took a gigantic break, and then when I had a job, I was like, hey, I've like. It was honestly one of those things, like, pulled it out from under the bed, and I was like, what's this box? It's like, oh, wow, sick. And then I just kind of got back into it, like, stripped and repainted all the really old stuff I had, which was, like, really cool at the time, because it was really old, and they don't make them like they used to, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, kind of just bought a bunch more stuff secondhand and then started playing more, I guess.
Do you play Ultramarines mainly?
Yeah, I'd say Ultramarines is like my main army, but I don't like really play them well in terms of like, I just like, yo, let's play. What are you bringing? Oh, my entire list is just jump packs and Terminators. It's stupid, but we're going to play it. And then
I think you can make it work.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It does not work.
Apparently we can charge people to write lists for them.
Wait, is that happening?
That's the thing.
I sent you that link today.
I didn't look at that.
Was that Nick Nanavidadi?
No, it was a company in the UK that will charge you £100 to write a list of
the guy who won LVO, Nick, I'm just going to call him Navadi. He won LVO and came second to Adepticon. He literally just like offers services to like talk to you about your list and write lists. So I don't know what that is.
We do that now too, if you ever want to call us.
For the low price of
half of whatever else other people are doing.
That's it. Cut the competition. So in terms of Ultramarines are definitely like my first primary army. After that, I've got a bunch of Sisters of Battle that are in like various stages of painting. Anything that had no paint on it whatsoever, I just sold as soon as the announcement came out because I was like, I'm legitimately not going to get to these until like 2019 anyway.
Yeah.
And then I've been slowly but surely like putting in good time and like really trying to get my Custodies up and running. So I'm really trying to paint them like similar but a lot different than just the Codex stuff.
Man, the rose gold ones you're doing are
cheers.
Yeah, like that is.
You didn't even say if they were good or bad yet. I'm just gonna answer so you had to say they were good.
Oh no, I can edit it. No, man, it's like such a good idea, and it's like a sensible way to get a variation in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've. It took me a while to figure it out. Like the first ones were like way too pink, and then I like painted up Trajan Valoris, and he was like a little too bronze, and then now I think I've got it.
Yeah.
So
we should play 30k.
No.
And get a Custodies army.
Come on, man.
Come on, play 30k. Take the leap.
I just beta rules it, dude.
Isn't Ottawa afraid of Custodes?
Montreal is.
Montreal.
Ottawa is afraid of, I don't know, like, no, it's a pretty good scene. There's some good folks there. It's just like...
I used to run a gaming club in Ottawa.
Really?
Out of fandom, too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's still going.
Yeah, you know Dylan, who does Multi-Zone?
Yeah, I know Multi-Zone.
He was doing the club with me right there.
Yeah, no, I like fandom.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good scene. Ottawa is just like there's lots of like good little groups to play with, but a lot of them like kind of tear apart every rule sometimes. Just like no one plays 30k as far as I know.
That's so strange.
It's like one guy.
There's different areas. I know that it's really popular. It's huge here. Kitchener-Waterloo has got a big scene. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing Ultramarines and
like,
nice.
I know that we shouldn't be saying this while we're recording, but
so do you like play more or paint more? What definitely gets you off in the hobby?
Wow, 150% I paint way more than I play, which is like something I'm trying to shake and get out there and play more. But it's just like I like my good friend and I, who I play with the most, like him and I hate playing with unpainted stuff. So there's this kind of like unspoken standard we hold each other to, where it's just like I'm not playing this unit until it's fully painted. But that's kind of fun. You like reveal it in all of its glory, and then it gets off turn one, and you're like, cool.
Yeah, that's like
great use of 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's the like shittiest feeling.
And it's like it has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You just need to get it out. Like you need to get that thing just smashed.
It happened to me when I got my Daredeo Dreadnought all done up, and I was like, man, it looks like I think it's like one of my better models, and you just like turn one, just like nah.
Just delete.
Yeah, like really good job. 8 last cannons, you suck.
Yeah,
you're bad.
8 last cannons kills anything. I had 8 last cannons blow up my Typhon.
So we can swear on the podcast now.
No, we can't.
No, we'll keep that down. But yeah, no, it was definitely a lot more painting, which kind of led into me trying to run a shop, which is I don't really know how I got into it now. I think my boss at work, like sidebar, like I work for an e-commerce company who helps people make online stores, and I help out the people trying to make them. So my boss was like, hey, why don't we all try to like make stores and actually get a sale? Like, all right, well, this is gonna be a lot easier if it's something I really like to do, which is painting Warhammer. So I like tried so I attempted to start this like online store that just kind of sold everything you needed with a budget of like $700. So
Paul,
that didn't really work. And yeah, I made the mistake of trying to be like really general and just kind of like sell like, oh, these brushes and these paints and these washes and this stuff. And then like that just didn't work out. No one was really interested. And then I kept on seeing like Broken Toad brushes on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh, look, those look neat. So I just like contacted Broken Toad. He set me up with a US distributor, got those, and that's kind of when stuff started picking up. And then other stuff kind of picked up alongside that. But yeah, it was really just for fun. And then it wasn't really until Broken Toad put my shop in their like not distributor, but like vendor list on their website is when things really started to like get going. Like I get Broken Toad in stock and it would just sell out in like the same week. So that was like super cool.
Yeah.
No one else was really doing it in Canada. And then I got on board with Scale 75. So those are kind of like the two main brands I go for.
Yeah. Scale 75 stuff, like you have turned me around on that. Like,
it's just really good. And again, I just like saw them around. So I like got some for myself and I was like, yep, no, these are the best paints I've used. So
yeah. And like, stupidly, when I first looked at them, I was just like, dropper bottles just for airbrushes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I asked you, and you're like, no, idiot, you can use a brush for any
yeah,
paint.
come on now. But you have to because you're a psychopath.
Yeah. Just do yellow with a brush.
You're the one.
You wonder why you're like
know.
this, and it's because you attempt to paint yellow things that are the size of this table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Typhon, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, it's interesting because like our kind of group, there's a couple people who are like more about the painting, but we're very heavily focused on the gaming and that aspect of the hobby.
Yeah.
So it's always I know like obviously I've met a lot of people who play and just are in the hobby, and I've met people who are like, yeah, I don't play.
Yeah.
I just
See,
paint stuff.
that kind of weirds me out. Like, I get it. Like, if you, I mean, they're great models to paint. So if you're like into miniature painting, but it is weird when you like find someone who's like, yeah, I'm super into painting minis, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what is a codex?
Especially when it's 40K miniatures, because it's like, I get that they have a very unique and very like, not singular aesthetic. It's just like this big panache of, or not panache, but pastiche of like every idea that science fiction and fantasy has ever had.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's find something for everybody on there, right?
But like, you can find models to paint way cheaper if that's what you're into.
That's the thing too, and like it kind of we can use this as a segue into GW stuff. But like people will always talk about like how like on earth does GW price their stuff, but like you gotta realize they are the best minis out there. Like people will argue, be like Kingdom Death and stuff like that, but like these are the best plastic minis money can buy.
Yeah, here's the
and part B is that there's an entire universe and game around it. So like that is legitimately adding $25 to the price tag of every single mini you buy. Yeah. And rightly so.
Well, I mean, I was in where was I? I was in Michael's, and just looking at like their model fighter planes and tanks, they're still $50, $60, $70 for models.
Because it needs to be designed by somebody. Like,
someone designed that, you know. Someone had to then injection mold 100 million of them. Like,
yeah, it's not like people are out there just Hank Pimming like real planes down to tiny sizes.
That'd be pretty cool.
that'd be tight.
We're done with that. Bloop, let's sell it to some nerds.
Take it apart.
And we're more interested in painting a small, not the fact that you could shrink a Boeing, just the fact that I can paint it.
I could do it.
So before so cool. No, it's good to hear about your history in the hobby. And once I get a little bit more hobby funds saved up, I'm going to be making a purchase because I need paint and new brushes.
Yeah,
Boom.
well,
And
I know a guy.
And I've got a coupon code.
Hey,
So that's important.
and you can have one too.
Yeah, plug it.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, it was like quite a while ago now that I like found Encounter Wargaming. I don't remember how, but I just like emailed them because I was like, hey, let's start this partnership thing. And there were like some other groups I was thinking of, but they were like, I reached out, and I'm not going to name names, but they were just kind of like, yo, we love free stuff. I was like, well, yeah, okay, that's not really what I was going for. Like, I just wrote you like a 9-paragraph like kind of plug and. Like,
Yeah. I'll take free paint.
yeah, so I was like, okay, and then Adam got back to me and he was like, man, this is like a sweet idea. Here are my thoughts on it. Here are how I see it working out. And then we like had a Google Hangout, and that was that. So
We didn't ever ask for free stuff, did we?
no, well, I just told him, I was like, I will send you like this amount of stuff for free just to be like I'm real about this, and it's forged into a beautiful relationship now.
Yeah, well, awesome.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, you're hanging out in a dank basement.
So
about to drink
dank, not damp.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it's damp. I had the dehumidifier running before you got here.
Dang.
It gets bad down here.
But since you're washing, EWG10 will get you.
They're listening too.
Yeah, listening, watching. EWG10 will get you 10% off your entire order. I'm going to actually have the ability to do like buy one or like buy X get Y style discounts soon. So with that, I'm going to be doing a lot more kind of like promotion stuff.
Oh, nice.
Just to keep it fresh. It's not cheap to like ship stuff across Canada at all. So I'm trying to like find ways to make it a little bit easier on people. But yeah, and I will be. If you want a Broken Toad size 000 brush and other Broken Toad and Scale 75 products and some other stuff I've got, come to the Hogtowner.
Yeah.
Because I'll be there.
So if you come to the Hogtowner, not only can you buy stuff from Marco, the Ferrario guy.
Wow, that would have been way better. Also, 10% off everything at the Hogtowner.
Woo! Woo! You might also win some cool stuff because
you'll win some cool
stuff.
stuff.
You're a major sponsor of the event,
Yeah,
which is fantastic, and there's going to be a ton of prizes.
There's a couple prizes there. No, there's like a dozen prizes there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was
12
like,
to 15. You'll want them.
He just keeps upping the prizes. I love it.
I do like the idea of just writing checks that we have to cash. Like, there's going to be 140 prizes. One of them's going to be a real live dragon.
Well, each time you guys talk about it, the prize amount, Nick just keeps on saying, it's like, we got $600,000 in prizes. We bought the building. We're going to give it away.
It keeps going up.
Yeah, I keep telling you to, like, dude, we got to announce that right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be there selling stuff in person, which is like going to be the second time I've ever done that, kind of like popping up in a vendor space. So come on by. I'm looking into getting some like event only stuff. So like come by and grab whatever it's going to be. Yeah. I don't know if you have ideas of what you want. Just let me know, and I'll see if I can stamp my name on it and give it to you. But yeah, we'll have everything kind of knocked down a little bit, and obviously you won't have to pay shipping because I'll be there with it. So.
Awesome.
Come hang.
Already have taken a train trip.
Yeah.
Train's got to be the cheapest, right?
No, I'm just going to drive.
Yeah, smart.
With a van full of paint. Which is how
loose paint.
Which is how I run my business half the time anyway. I'm just going to show up outside your door. Hey, come back here.
You up?
Yeah. You up. NMU. Who you liking these days? But yeah, so... Yeah, Adam and I just kind of started talking, and it was really fun. And we set up this kind of like promotion where, if you message you guys for a discount or listen to this or something like that, you can get a discount. If you want discounts all the time, steady, no questions asked, get on Encounter Wargaming's Patreon. It's worth it. I enjoy it.
We'll never ask a question.
You can watch our live stream over and over and over.
And it's you've heard it. There's a lot of swears.
There's some swears.
There's some swears. In between,
and if you're on Patreon, who knows? There might be some nudity.
Wait, you mean me? And also, like, there's weird political banter every time between.
Oh no, not tonight.
No, not tonight.
I cannot take it.
We won't do that to you.
Cheers.
So yeah, we're drinking Henderson's Best, which is a local favorite of the podcast. They've sponsored the podcast before.
Yeah.
They're really pushing hard in Toronto. They launched an ad campaign in the TTC, which was really great to see. And it's just a great space to go, especially on a hot summer day. I'm going to bike down there at least 20 times this summer. Sometimes I go on a run and I'm like, the Henderson's is right there. I could just stop and drink beer. And sometimes I do. Nothing
quite like an ice cold one after you've run like 100 steps.
Dude, that's like that is why I drink the most in the summer. It's because like I'm kind of zipping around on my bike. I'm like, it'd be nice. It's beer? Like 4 pints.
Approximately 4 pints.
Yeah, 4 pints. A liter of beer.
Yeah. So now that we've let Marco plug his business.
No, that was his hobby.
I'm kidding.
It
was a joke.
It was a bad joke.
We're moving into our regularly scheduled hobby desk.
Yeah.
Paul, what you working on?
Right now, I've just been working on that Terminator commission, Imperial Fists. So they have those big pelts I just got a lot of basing, blocking colors done on those guys. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Sorry, what chapter is it?
Imperial Fist.
Okay.
Because someone
That's all he paints. He refuses to paint anything else.
Someone else plays that army.
Yeah, they're cool. It's the ones I've been talking about, the Anvils of Conor sculpted ones.
Oh, very cool.
So they look rad, but I'm just blocking out colors, so there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
The most important part. And you could have more to talk about if you got an airbrush.
Do you sell airbrushes?
No, probably never. I'll probably never sell airbrushes or like actual miniatures, to be honest.
Just because the margin on them is...
Yeah, I don't know. There's no like real crazy profit margins on like anything kind of miniature related. Also, there's like zero drop shipping, meaning like I can't just like be like, hey, I've got like 10 orders for this. Can you ship them for me, please? It's just like, no, like if I don't have it in stock and a Rubbermaid somewhere, it's not on the site. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
I just finished up my first 3 Custodes jet bikes. That was a lot of fun. It took me a while to kind of get the scheme right, but I'm really happy with them. And I actually, the night before I left for Toronto, I assembled some of the Custodes Terminators, the Alaris Custodians, and they're very large.
Yeah,
they're
big,
super
big,
cool
bad
models.
daddies. Yeah.
How many wounds do they have?
Do.
No,
2, maybe 3?
3 at least.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, they have 3, but remember we were looking in the codex and we're like, they're stat.
No, they're 4 because they're like one more than the regular guard. I'm probably wrong.
No, you're probably right. Because I remember we were looking at the jet bikes and we're like, why would you ever take the Terminators over the jet bikes?
The jet bikes are 4 though, but they're T6.
Yeah, exactly. And they're faster. And they're the same amount of points.
Oh, they're just infinitely the best unit in that book by like
Oh, yeah.
an atrocious long shot.
But I do love how the Terminators look.
There's this one dude, I don't actually know his name, but he's on the Canhammer crew, and he made a list that's just like 20 jet bikes, and I was like, man. That was it. I just said, man.
Yeah, like that's
And
what
I
do you...
continued to thumb through Instagram.
There's literally nothing to say to that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's a good idea, I guess.
That would happen.
Oh, it happens. Yeah, I worked on that, so they're assembled, and then I got my good friend was at Adepticon, and he picked me up the Forge World Shield Captain guy, who is just the classic holding the spear pose, like everything.
Like, it's funny because I've seen the Forge World pictures of him, and he's like, yeah, he's okay. And then every time I
Baldor?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Just like the regular Shield Captain that came out.
And like every paint job that's not the Forge World one, I'm like, oh, this is a really cool model.
Yeah, which is funny because I actually way prefer the Forge World paint jobs for Custodes than like the Game Workshop Prime ones, because they are more of that like tarnished, like gold, almost bronzy.
Yeah.
Whereas the GW scheme is just like so yellow gold.
It's Redemptor Gold and a wash, and then
That's good. It's like a super accessible army for that reason. But yeah, so I've got him that I'm going to be painting up for a competition, just for fun, for the Miniax channel. Scott, he runs a great YouTube channel. But don't check him out. Check out this channel. And then a guy went in for a Forge World order, and I got Valdor. So I've got him sitting there, and I'm like, I don't play 30k, so you're just gonna be a shield captain, I guess.
he's so big.
Or you just play
huge.
30k.
I actually
Come to Toronto and play 30k with us.
Yeah, I will probably take you up on that.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
fun.
that's it. That's what I'll do.
Yeah,
that's why I bought it.
There you go.
That's worth it. That's how much
And
this,
the
this
grab
means to
tanks
me.
are so cool.
I also have one.
You want to. Want to.
I know. I'm starting to hate myself.
Yeah, that's...
Welcome to the hobby.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, it's just externalized self-loathing. Like...
Just our sickly friend.
Adam's popping in.
Adam, I got you a gift, okay? I know you always brag about being able to paint eyes with a tank brush, but you're lying, so.
I mean, that's the equivalent of, like, your dad saying, like, I bet I could throw this football over those mountains.
It would actually be your uncle. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Wait, is this how I find out? Dad's not my dad?
Okay, anyhow. So yeah, I'm going to get into 30k. That's the next thing, I guess.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's sweet. And I've also been really trying to get painting marble down.
Ooh.
Man, you figure that out, you let me know.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Because the Terminator chaplain, I tried to do marble casing on his bolter
Nice.
way back in the day. I was like, oh, I'm not good at this. And now it's a wood.
We're made of wood.
Yeah, it's a wood grade.
Even like the pearl handle
Yeah.
on Doran's pistol, right? Like it would be similar theory for painting.
It's pearl armor. Mother of pearl armor.
Yeah.
No, okay, you know the
I'm so pretty.
the Cataphracti Terminator captain that came in the Calth box?
Yep.
Okay, he is also gigantic.
Yep.
But I think I've got one of him, like, not primed or anything, and I think I'm going to try and, like, do his, once I get this down, because it's, like, actually a lot easier to do it on a smaller surface and have it look believable than when you do it on, like, a huge thing.
Makes sense.
And I'm going to try and do, like, his entire armor as marble.
That's really cool.
Yeah, like, he's going to be, like, a walking cathedral.
I can't
with his
wait.
Incredible 4-inch move, just, like... yeah, he's gonna be sweet. There's actually a way, like, I've been watching people trying to get marble down, and there's some good tutorials out there, but, like, this guy does, like, looks insane, is when you take, like, a dried out cloth, and it'll be, like, black base coat or whatever, and then you, like, spray, like, lighter grays through this cloth, and you fold it again, and you spray, like, and, like, it looks, like, super realistic. It's nuts. Yeah.
That's cool.
He uses, like, a dried out, like, baby wipe or something.
Videos of this, please.
Yeah, I might try it out, but I also find it's, like, kind of... It's weird because, like, I see more and more people on Instagram trying it out, but people be like, oh my god, this, like, looks amazing. Like, how do you do this? But, like, no one wants to admit that they went out and, like, bought a pack of baby wipes and dried one out.
Hey, man. You know what? If it's a stupid idea and it works, it's not a stupid idea.
That's true.
It's like, yeah, when you go to Michael's, it's like, why are you buying, like, brass rods and fake grass? I don't know.
Why are you buying jigsaw puzzles and
Stir my drink and garnish it.
Yeah. Also, like, none of your business.
Yeah.
All right. Also, don't give my name to the police if they come
I do
by.
not want to be on your mailing list.
Forget my face.
every time. Can I have your email? No.
No,
It's okay.
no, we're good. Yeah, that's my hobby. That
Nice.
was a long segment. Cheers.
That's all right. What are you up to?
I'm plugging along on the Orc kill team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did a lot of work on them over the past few weeks, just getting a lot of highlights done, detail work in on them. So it's 4 orc bikers, a knob with a big choppa, not a huge choppa. Huge choppas are gone. Hope huge choppas come back in the codex, but I digress. And then 5 commandos and a whole bunch of shooter boys. So the shooter boys, I've just been picking out details because I painted them long time ago. So just a few highlights, washes, and making them look up to snuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's just the way you gotta paint orcs, is like get them tabletop and then just kind of dip back in.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Is just the line infantry is just going to be. I was talking to Paul and Connor about this. Line infantry is just going to be bang them out as quickly as possible. Dry brush,
Boomerang.
do them up, and then spend a little bit more time on the characters. So I'm definitely spending more time on the war boss, who's going to stand in for my knob, and the war bikes too. But yeah, it's going well. I have a lot to do before 9 a.m. on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Kill Team's so much fun, man. That was like some of the most fun I had in my gaming club. Was we just ran this. Are you guys doing Heralds of Ruin?
No.
Okay.
Warhammer World released an 8th edition Kill Team pack.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
And
I did not know.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be super competitive, and it's probably not going to be super balanced. But
Nor
it's
should
just
it be.
like last year we did it with 7th edition, and it was a little bit more structured and thought out.
Yeah.
But it's like I know for a bunch of people in the club, it launched them into new armies.
Yeah.
Because you're like, here, build like these.
Yeah.
This squad.
That was me.
Yeah.
I started an Eldar kill team and then didn't collect Eldar after that.
Well, like we where I'm doing the TO for it. We're doing a prize just called the Spirit of Kill Team, where it's like, did you go out and did you make like a group of ragtag?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's so much fun for that.
Yeah.
yeah. So just because like that in my head is a lot different than like painting well. Like if you went out and you were like, for this event, I really like wanted to hammer home these 10, 12 models. Yeah. Like I think that deserves.
Because anyone can take like a 10 out of 10 army and pick models from it and be like, this is my kill team. But if you're like, this is Bob. He's an orc boy who's got an extra long gun, ammo bandoliers, and he's got a pearl handled pistol that he took from a dead Imperial fist. You're like, yeah, you put a lot of thought into that, and there's a hobby in there.
Yeah, my buddy ran a Dark Angels kill team, and he had an interrogator chaplain that we just called Happy Chappy. just this grim, terrifying killer. It's great.
Just a dude stoving in heads with his badge
into the jaw, and it's gone. It was tight. No, kill team's great for that.
Yeah. So I'm stoked for it, and I mean, it helps you get like painting styles down, so that when I actually start cranking out 120 orc boys, they're not going to take nearly as long as the 10 that I've taken like 3 weeks to paint.
Do you guys have like that one mini or like unit in your army that just like does the same thing every game? Like not even by choice, just like, oh, you're doing that again.
I mean, my Necron blob of warriors is just like, well, you're in a silly place and you're there for the rest of the game now. Like, just dug in. Because, like, by the time that late in the game comes, they're just stuck somewhere where there's, like, so much stuff engaging them. Man. I'm like,
I'm just so, like, for me, it's my, like, Primaris Grab Captain, who I just thought it would be cool to put on this massive scenic base. So I'm like, man, like, I've got this. Like, no one can see this guy. And he's like, yeah, Marco, he is the closest model again. It's like, oh, okay, well, you guys want rerolls? Or no, I'll charge your Land Raider. Okay, he's okay.
Oh,
my burner bomber always blows up, but that's its job.
Yeah, it's a plane that's also a bombs.
Yeah, which I love.
It's a bomb plane.
Well, it actually didn't blow up in my last game, which brings us into our next segment, General's Armchair.
Yeah.
So
that was seamless.
Yeah, I played one game over the past 2 weeks, which is not a lot considering. There's only, I guess it would be.
It's been like a busy couple of weeks.
It has. So I played Phil Sunday night, and Phil has been he's throwing almost every army he has against the orcs, and I've been able to beat him. So he's like, I'm going to design a list to beat the orcs.
Orc boys do you run?
Orc boys, I run one big squad of 30, and then 2 squads of 16 in battle wagons.
That's respectable. So I was like, yeah, I bring 120 orc boys. I was like, yeah, no one will beat you.
No.
Yeah, that just
but there's also 30 commandos, 15 storm boys. There's a lot of things. So he brought a Death Guard list.
So brave.
That was, let's just put it this way, had 12 D6 auto hits a turn. So he had 3 fetid blight drones, 3... what are the mortar things called?
Blight. Oh, the plague burst.
The plague burst crawlers.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, that mortar's not great. He's like, yeah, but it has 2.
Yeah, watch.
2d6, strength 7, AP -1 thing. So he killed everything in my army except for a battle wagon, and all my characters. And I messed up because it was the first time I was playing with this army. And I was using bikes. I was using Zardsnack, the Ripper. I was proxying because I wanted to see how he did. And I completely forgot about the Storm Boys and the bikes until he was like, oh, are you done deploying? I'm like, yep. And then he starts deploying the rest of his army. I'm like, wait a minute. I forgot 4 units. And so they were kind of like off to the side of the board. They didn't do anything. Then I forgot to bring in the commandos turn 2. And he was like, no, bring them in. I'm like, no, I forgot. I will learn from my mistake.
Yeah.
So I brought them in turn 3, but the blight drones, man, they're go
nasty.
Bloop. Oh, that squad of 10 is dead. Bloop, that squad of 10 is dead. I didn't kill a single one.
No,
feels bad.
Yeah, my friend like runs normally 3, and it's like it is very scary because they're very fast.
Yeah, orcs don't have any long range, any tank.
Yeah,
and having to you can't even charge these things because they're getting 2d6 auto hits in Overwatch.
Yeah. They're terrifying.
They're absolutely brutal. So I gotta think of a new way to deal with stuff like that with the orcs, because this is the first loss they've had so far. But it was weird because I only lost 17-15. But it was he did crush me. But we were playing Maelstrom, and we both had strong draws on Maelstrom cards. But yeah, man, there was just a lot of auto hitting weapons in that. I mean, Typhus and the Blight Lord Terminators kind of got just totally mobbed. He deep struck, charged the battle wagon, and then there was 15 Storm Boys and 20 orc boys, and then another squad of 20 boys just in his face.
Yeah, well, I mean, just law of large numbers says you win.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
But I actually managed to kill the Blight Lords in shooting, with just all the boys shooting their pistols, battle wagons unloading.
That upsets me. That upsets me on a visceral, like, human lizard brain level.
But just the 5-up ignoring wounds. Orcs don't have a lot of multi-damage weapons, so when you finally push those like 2 or 3 wounds of 3-up save, and he's ignoring 1 or 2 of them, you're just like, oh.
Man, it's also super annoying because like whenever you play someone who is playing Death Guard, they either have like a good night where they're just cranking those 5-ups, or an awful night where they're not making a single one, and you're like, what? It would be so nice if your army was always like this. Like,
if it was just a rare thing.
Yeah.
Yep. But good game. Phil's a great opponent. We've kind of had not an argument, but a discussion about what the appropriate level for terrain is on a table.
Yeah, okay.
And,
all of it.
no, it went. It was just too heavy this time. There was a lot of trouble, like squeezing stuff in. Like there was a lot of like really, really narrow fire lanes that he could just park a bloat drone in, and it's like I have to squeeze the boys through there.
Gotcha. So it wasn't even so much in the case of like there wasn't enough line of sight blocking. It was like there's literally too much. I can't move.
There was a ton of line of sight blocking terrain, and there
then.
wasn't a lot of the actual stuff where you can, move over.
Yeah.
So like the battle wagons were kind of just stuck
Yeah, it's
the
annoying.
entire game, and they had like a 12-inch bubble they could move in. Yeah, it was a good game, learning experience. It was the first game I played with the orc bikers instead of the war buggies.
How do you like bikers?
They didn't do much because I forgot about them.
Okay.
And we were playing the spearhead deployment.
Oh, so they would have done a lot.
They would have done nothing.
No.
Well, they would have got a first turn charge off.
Yeah.
Against bloat drones, because that's what he had out in front.
Well, you don't charge the bloat drones.
That's what I know, but that's what or poxwalkers or whatever.
Yeah, you do something with them.
Yeah. I just made a bunch of mistakes, but no, it's still digging the orcs, getting those +3 psychic power smites off, and just blowing things up with.
How you doing perils more?
Oh, I perils 3 times.
Good.
And both my weird boys ended the game on 1 wound, all done by themselves.
A job well done.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Brain full of soup.
And this was the first game that I played with the orcs too, where I learned how much it sucks to fail a charge. Because I jumped first turn, failed that charge. Commandos came in, failed all their charges when they came in, and I was like, well, that's what happens when the luck is not in your favor.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you should do is get units that can move 12 inches. That feels nice.
Well, yeah, orcs can...
Feels good.
They can advance and charge with the war boss now, right?
Yeah.
And the
gross.
and the war boss biker on a bike gives
What's his name again?
Well, any war boss on a bike.
What's his name?
Zardsnack the Ripper.
Is this the guy that did a donut until the planet came in half?
No, that was Wazdaka Gutzmeg.
Why do you know this?
Because I love orc fluff.
I don't even know my mom's middle name.
Wazdaka was the guy who
It is.
He rode his bike off the cliff into the cockpit of the Emperor class Titan, killed everybody inside, and he was still on fire when he did it.
Yeah.
And then he got the mechs to rig up a Geller field and a warp drive to put on his bike so he could just warp from planet to planet.
It's too awesome.
His name is Nicolas Cage. Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Games played. I've also only got the one. I played Brian Chow for my league game. Great game. Played against Grey Knights with my Necrons, and we used the strategy cards.
Open war?
Yeah, open war decks. A lot of fun. I liked them a lot more than I did in 7th. And it was like a weirdly mobile game because like he was Gate of Infinity and
just
stuff.
Popping all over the place.
I was like Veil of Darkness and redeploying stuff. So the game got really brutal really quick. He had a lot of like small units that I was able to kind of overwhelm.
Pick off, yeah.
Yeah. His Warlord was a Dread Knight that I just kind of ignored because sure he would go and delete whatever he'd like touched, but I was able to kind of feed enough stuff to him like slowly. So yeah, that was a good game. Satan, always a ton of fun. Just like going around bopping heads.
The Nightbringy boy.
I use the Deceiver just because I like the redeploy shenanigans.
It's so good. So good, and with the new beta rules too.
Well, I didn't put the big horns on the side of his head, so it's just like the one.
Just slick.
Yeah.
What's up?
So he looks like Boojum Boo from.
Man, okay. Actually, sidebar back to my kind of like hobby resume. I got into Necrons were my second army, so I had that thing I sent you.
Yeah.
And I legit bought the Battle Force back when every army had a Battle Force, which is just like hype. And I had a pretty decent sized Necron army, and I just misplaced it.
No.
I have no idea where it is.
Mom.
It's probably in like a childhood friend's basement.
Yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's why you need to systematically get rid of all your childhood friends.
Yeah. And just your childhood.
Yeah.
Just leave it behind.
Mm-hmm. Just take Warhammer out of it.
I'm trying. Man.
But yeah, that game was... I handily took it just because of the way that the cards were going, and I was able to like...
Do you remember what the open war stuff was?
What was like the twist or whatever?
I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was just like a pretty decent game.
I feel for the Grey Knights, man. I can't tell, like, they're not like competitive in any way, but
well, like cramming mortal wounds on the wraiths was really effective.
Yeah.
But he just didn't have a way to do enough, so I had like one wraith, and I burned 4 command points to get, I think, 4 back over the course of the game.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
And they were just like shredding stuff because they're pushing so many wounds.
They're doing 2 damage, or they're killing all the Terminators.
Yeah.
I'm one of those like sorry cowards who like I had Grey Knights. I had a pretty nice Grey Knights collection, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get to these. They're gonna be great, cool scheme. And then Custodians came out. I was like, these just aren't what I want.
These are what the Grey Knights are supposed to be.
Yeah, that's my thing, and that's why I feel for them, man. I'm like, man, like this is you. How can you like watch this come out and be like, this is essentially the same fluff minus the fact that they're in gold and not technically Space Marines and this, and it's just like
they don't have psychic abilities, but they're the elite of the elite.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just like but then like something's gonna come out where it's like, like the high custodian.
Yeah, this is the Mecha Custodian.
The best of the best of the best.
Sir.
Yeah, but then the Custodians are the best of the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, I know.
Who aren't mutant psychers.
No.
You got any games played, my dude?
I had one, actually, just like a week ago now. I played against a buddy from work who plays Imperial Guard. Awesome Imperial Guard army. It's all Starship Troopers themed.
Yeah,
like it looks really sweet. And he just got his Cerastus Knight Archeron done, the one with like insane flame thing.
Yeah,
and like
anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah, I was just like, I just want to like. Normally we just like pump 1,500 points and just like chill and drink pints. But he like just had it freshly done. I was like, man, like let's run it. Let's like bump up the points level. And I think we didn't quite do 2,000. But I just wanted him to bring it. He's like, man, I really want to bring it. So I said, yeah, I don't care about what points level we're at. Just like bring it. Let's have some fun. And then I realized he played Imperial Guard, so he literally just like brought his list from last time and added a knight to it. So I was like, oh yeah, you really didn't have to like sacrifice anything. You just added a knight to your list. And I brought my Ultramarines, and I brought Calgar because I had him all finished up, and he's actually sick. And then I decided it would somehow be a good idea to bring him with a Vanguard detachment and a Spearhead detachment. So I just had like no models on the table. It was a very stupid list.
So he was able to just blow through it.
We like shook hands and crushed cans at like top of my turn too. I was like, I don't really want to do this.
I've played the Archeron before. It's the worst. 2d6,
strength
is, like, 7, AP -3 damage.
Yeah, the Flamer's
auto
nuts. The Flamer is absolutely atrocious. The Chain Fist thing is really not that good because it's -1 to hit and he only has 4 attacks. So like you're maybe getting 2 in.
Yeah.
It's 2d6 damage when like you do get it. I think flat 6. I'm totally wrong. Flat 6 damage, which is just gross.
Yeah, I'll take that every day.
But I mean, you just use like the stomping feet thing and just kick people. But he did use the Reaper Chain Fist is what it's called, and you just like legit just like
punching
haymakered my Land Raider, and my Cataphractii came out and were like,
do you want to do it to us?
So, can we just not?
So fluff question.
Mm-hmm.
Gilliman's back.
Yeah.
Did Marinus Calgar get demoted?
No.
Is he still a chapter master? He's still a chapter master?
Yeah.
Okay, even though...
Dude, a Primarch and a chapter master are two different things.
Yeah, there were chapter masters when there were Primarchs. Yes.
Yes.
They might have been called something else. Weren't they like something
First
called?
captains, probably?
No, there were chapter masters. Because,
After the heresy.
During the heresy, because
there were chapters during the heresy.
During the heresy, there were chapters, because the Serrated Suns and, like, all of the like different cults in the Word Bearers were different chapters, and they're like,
okay,
like it's kind of a great company idea, but it's like just there were chapters.
But no, because he's Lord Commander of the Imperium, so he's off doing like all kinds of stuff. Like Calgar's still all up in it, you know.
Makes sense.
Robbie G's a bro. He's not going to like demote the guy who's been running the show for X amount of thousands of years, you know.
Yeah,
he's a solid dude. But no, okay, and then so. Calgar was just kind of like hanging just behind the Land Raider to like buff it up, and then my plan was like Terminators are going to get out and like it's go time, and I always run Cataphractii because they're just great. They're just better. They're just way better. So it was just going to be this Terminator smash show, and he pops the Land Raider. He like gets a lucky like last cannon off 6 damage like first turn. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, that's really unfortunate, and then. Yeah, Reaper chainfists it, so it just opens up, and the Terminators don't know what to do. So I'm like, well, I have to charge you with your knight with Calgar now, because that's what you do.
Yeah, that's.
There's a chance I could roll some 5s.
Yeah.
And
push some stuff.
Or sorry, I'd roll some 4s.
Yeah.
So I go to make the charge, and then I realize that he's got the best Overwatch weapon in the game, and I rolled 4 ones.
Oh, that wouldn't help.
Using those Custodes dice, and then just like a little skull. And we just both kind of looked at each other, and I already used the command point. I was like, man, yeah. Let's just finish this turn.
Yeah, I want to go home.
Yeah, I hate this. But no, he's a really fun dude to play against. But yeah, the game just like, I honestly, and I hate saying this because I hate people who say this, but I could not roll decent saves to save my life. Like 3 ups.
It
like,
happens,
no,
man.
Sorry.
It happens. There are some games that come down to that.
Just cold dice.
Yeah, and it sucked.
I've had it before where I've like watched just shots bounce off of power armor, and then someone's opened up on my Noise Marines and they just all die.
Yeah, it was weird, man. Like if I actually like made 1/3 of the saves I had to make, I would have actually like stuck around and we would have a pretty fun game. But just that was it.
Sometimes it's trouncing, man.
Yeah. So it's funny, you mentioned Cataphractii armor. I didn't realize they had this rule where they have to half the distance that they advance.
Yeah, no, you need to drop them in.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be riding in a Land Raider whip.
Because Typhus, and they move like 4 inches?
They move 4 inches.
So Typhus is just like so slow.
That's why I always stick mine in a ride.
Yep.
Yeah, they need to ride.
Makes sense.
It's also, so they can lean out the side and holler.
Yeah. Sell drugs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You all want some gene seed?
Come get it. Come in here.
All right.
Sorry, we can't fit you because we take up too. So.
Yep. We take up. Anyways, we don't have to figure out the little logistics of a Space Marine transport. Yep.
Yeah.
Drive me closer so I can hit you. Yeah.
Drive me closer so I can just stick my lightning claw pinky out the visor and just wiggle it. What a bus.
All right. You want to take a quick break and then get into
quick
history?
break?
Quick break?
Crack one.
Yep. All right. We'll be back after weirdly ads for Marco's business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's meta.
Battle Brothers Studios is a commission painting studio in Toronto, Canada. We want you to walk into the battlefield looking your best. So, if you're having trouble getting all your minis painted, or are in a big rush to get some stuff done for that next event, then let us know. Facebook.com/Battle Brothers Studios for a free quote, and inquire also about our 2018 deals. This year, running a 10% discount on any new release item from any miniature company. That's pretty cool, so send us a message. Hello, everybody. This is Adam.
And I'm Jay.
And we are Encounter Wargaming.
And we wanted to celebrate hitting our 1,500 subscribers and give back to all of you who helped us get here.
Super exciting. So we call this the 2,500 subscriber Forgebane giveaway.
That's right, because we're giving away a Forgebane box.
Woohoo!
But in order to give it away, we have to hit our 2,500 subscriber goal.
Makes sense. All right, so first things first. Share this.
Share the podcast with your friends.
Share our videos.
Yeah.
Share anything you want. So there you go. Multiple ways to enter.
Right.
Number 1.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Woohoo! That'll get you 1 entry. Number 2, follow on Twitch for 1 more entry.
Also, you can support us on our Patreon campaign, and that'll get you 5 entries.
Wow. All right. And hey,
Crazy.
guess what? If you subscribe on Twitch, you get 5 more entries.
Damn. And lastly, for all of you who are listening to the podcast right now, go on and leave us a review, and we'll get you 1 more entry.
Bonus. Guys, this is a big thank you for all the support that you have given us over the last couple years.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone out there for making this a wild ride for us. Hopefully we can give one of these boxes to one of you lucky people.
Sweet. Hey, remember to share, and we will see you at our next encounter.
You know, when I'm not cracking cold ones, I'm popping paint pots and putting brushstrokes on miniature figurines. And you know darn right that I'm getting my supplies from thewarpainter.com, a hobby store in the Great White North. Thewarpainter.com is Canada's greatest hobby store for all things hard to find. Scale 75, Broken Toad, The Army Painter, and Valet Ho. All supporters of Encounter Wargaming get 10% off their first order with the code EWG10. They got you covered.
And we're back. We were recording that whole time.
That makes balls like difficult.
Whatever, I got the clap. It's Spike stuff.
Hey.
But that right after confuses everything. What do you got there?
Got a disease.
Absent Landlord. We've had it before. It's good. It's from Cowbell Brewing Company. I want to go there one day. It's in Blythe.
Blythe.
Don't know where that is.
Blythe sounds
Is
silly.
it Blythe or Blythe?
I think it's Blythe.
Be careful, Julie. Your snorts of derision will end up on the podcast.
Julie, how do you pronounce it? Is it Blythe or Blythe? Blythe?
Blythe. It's like you're saying both at the same time. Blythe.
Blythe, Ontario.
Okay.
And it happened. She's on the podcast officially.
We did it!
All right. So
So we're just going to kind of talk about GW.
they've been around for 53 years. That's not right.
75.
75.
1975.
30. 40. 43.
43. There you go, buddy. That was for you, Jamesy.
Founded in 1975. Take it away, Paul.
Well, here's the thing. We're constantly feeding money to this beast. We should know a little bit about its history.
It's true.
And this is coming from the Wikipedia, so it's probably penned by them. Don't believe anyone that writes their own press releases, if I can steal a line for Rick and Morty. Founded in 1975 at 15 Bolingbroke Road, London, by John Peake, Ian Livingstone, and Steve Jackson, not to be confused with the U.S. game designer Steve Jackson. Games Workshop was originally a manufacturer of wooden board games, including Backgammon, a different thing I don't know how to say, Nine Men's Morris, and Go.
Wow.
Mancala.
So,
Okay.
they started with wooden board games.
Yeah, so basically they did...
Like, wrap your head around that.
They were literally a games workshop. Like a woodworking workshop.
No, that adds up. I'm just like, what board game is made of wood?
Backgammon.
What is that?
Checkers.
Oh, so like most. Yeah,
Chess.
I'm an idiot. I was just thinking...
When you think of like...
I was like, oh, every classic game possible. It was like, cribbage, you idiot.
most.
little
That's so awful.
Little known
that
fact,
is...
Warhammer started off with
wood.
With wooden models.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Then they got into becoming the importer of a U.S. game known as Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's how these
played
nerds
that.
got started. then they started the Owl and Weasel, which was like a little newsletter for their games, and eventually that was superseded by White Dwarf in 1977.
Wow.
And they always wanted to be in like progressive games, computer games, which they always wanted to be a traditional games thing. So once like things started heading in a more progressive way, that's when John Peake left, and then they successfully got the exclusive distribution rights for Dungeons and Dragons, and that's like basically what got their bones made. From that, they started making miniatures with Citadel miniatures, and we don't need to go through the rest of it. It's kind of just history as we know it.
No, but I thought it was interesting. Marco was telling us earlier that because he did a lot more research than we did on this topic.
I opened up the wiki.
I got tabs.
That Citadel Miniatures started, and a bunch of people broke off from that, making their own miniature companies. That eventually Citadel went back and
Reabsorbed was the term,
which is awesome.
Which kind of like probably helped them create a diverse range, because they were like Marauder miniatures and like all these like little ones, and they were like, why are we trying to do this? So Citadel just became it.
Yeah, and it's like interesting to see that everyone had a passion for that, and then just kind of got, like you said, reabsorbed, so no one was working across ways against each other.
So what was the first Warhammer?
It's Warhammer Fantasy.
Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and that hit the scene in 1983. So they were a thing for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. The 80s is when like Games Workshop
became synonymous with miniatures.
Yeah, like that's sort of the aesthetic that when you see like your classic miniatures. Forge World doing that whack-ass land speeder that I sort of love and sort of hate.
I'm gonna get the new one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sort of into it, sort of not. I can't tell.
I just love it. Just another tangent, because why not? It's just like, I love when things are announced and there's like that one guy who has to comment being like, you understand that there's like a massive jet turbine directly behind this man's head, right? It's like, yeah, no, they know. It's just that there's also this decaying dude who rules people's minds, and green things that hold up posters of Space Marines.
Yeah, like let's not start
like,
pulling.
No, you're right, but we should probably just assess the aerodynamics of this
Suspend
vehicle.
your disbelief, if you will. You know what that land speeder really reminds me of, though, was like the earliest helicopters in military use. You ever watch MASH?
No,
You should. You'd like early Alan Alda's humor, but they have like these weird helicopters. They look like toy helicopters, and they're flying them around in the Korean War.
yeah, because it's basically a motorcycle engine and a bunch of good intentions, and people are like, we can fly this around.
Yeah, exactly. That really reminds me of. I think that's where they got the inspiration for the land speeder from. But really goofy.
Man,
point is, that's
history of the land speeder. Let's go.
Well, there was a man named Arkin Land.
No, you can't actually.
yeah,
know
he was a rogue trader, and he was the one that found the STCs for both the land speeder
And the Land Raider.
Mm-hmm. They're not for going overland.
I'm gonna find the STC to shut up.
A good podcast.
Yeah, hey, find that and call me back.
Because Land Raiders are actually amphibious.
Okay.
So they're also water raiders.
Were you
Raiders?
Were you going to say wetland raiders?
Why not just say like water speeder? Why'd you throw in raider? Marsh speeder.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Marsh skimmer.
Because it's named after a person.
So I'm over it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So
So 1983 was when Warhammer Fantasy Battle first appeared in gaming systems.
Very cool.
Unreal.
So
That's
yeah,
a long time ago, guys.
that's 2 years before the first.
You know what's
Metallica
kind of
album.
like strange though is that Warhammer Fantasy Battle was 8 editions.
Yeah.
It was 8 editions.
Was it 9?
8 editions. The Warhammer 9 is like this fantasy land that people still play and you can't move on.
But it is 9. So there are 9 editions.
No,
Was 9 fan made?
I'm reading it. Yeah, throughout the 8 editions of the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think like ninth Age is like the one that is completely fan made or something.
Okay.
Guys, come on.
We've said it, so it is 100% now true.
Yep.
Gonna get a lot of angry fan mail on this one.
I don't care.
Actually, we don't have any fan mail. Send us fan
Mail
mail.
some stuff.
Yeah, if you have any complaints or sexy photos of orcs, send them to inchesandcubes@gmail.com.
One interesting thing is Gary Gygax actually wanted to merge with Games Workshop, but then Games Workshop's current owners at the time backed out at the last moment.
See, that's like kind of awesome because then TSR was bought by Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast was then bought by Hasbro. Wow. So if that had happened, Optimus Prime and like Marnius Kelgar would be bunkmates.
Well,
so
they're the same person.
So for our purposes, because we're not a Warhammer podcast, we're a Warhammer 40k podcast,
bro.
Warhammer Rogue Trader started in 1987, 1 year before I was born.
2 years after the first Metallica album.
12 years after the inception of Games Workshop.
Yeah, that's the thing that like is messing with me.
That is pretty crazy. It's like, what did they do? Because that's, yeah, Jesus.
So I think Rogue Trader, I could be wrong because I never actually played it. I wasn't alive. Was more geared towards like the role playing elements rather than a battle game.
Oh yeah, like they had such strange rules. There would be like it was way more narrative. Like you would have virus bombs where a virus bomb goes off and any model without a helmet died. Yep. So your sergeants,
it's insane.
Dead.
You had like six different types of missiles.
Man, I should have brought it. I don't know if anyone has the Index Apocrypha that came out like a year ago or 2 years ago now. They put out like...
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so I have the one for like Imperialis or whatever, and it talks about Rogue Trader. And yeah, some of the rules, like you roll for everything. Mm-hmm. Like you would like a D&D character, and you roll for equipment, and you roll for like what that equipment does. But yeah, because I think I was just reading for when Warhammer Fantasy Battle came out, the critical reception was like the role-playing aspects of it sucked and people were confused. They're like, what kind of game is this? Because probably people were just like 10 out of 10ing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Like, this is Dungeons and Dragons with miniatures, which is sick.
Yeah, or like coming from the classical wargame world where like there was no role-playing thing. Mm-hmm. Like an old school cataphracta was an old school cataphracta. It was just a guy on a horse with the most armor ever.
Or what we talked about, what was it called? The first war game developed by the Prussians. Right after their defeat by Napoleon, it was very much just like hard facts and data. There was very, very little role playing, and then I think Games Workshop moved it towards more of a war game because obviously you need to sell models. Mm-hmm. And how do you sell models? You make rules for them, and then we get second edition.
In second edition, like there are some still bonkers rolls for things. So it was sort of like a percentile dice when you were shooting at vehicles.
No, vehicles had cards.
Well, this is the thing. You would shoot to hit, and you would hit the vehicle, and then you would roll the percentile dice, or like and it would correspond to a different part of the vehicle's profile. And there was a chance that you could get a hit, but still miss because you rolled in a part of the vehicle where there wasn't any vehicle. Because of the way that like the chart worked. Because like a turret would have a bunch of like blank space on the top of the card eventually, and it was just like people. It was even more esoteric than what we're playing now. Like, Don't worry, we're in a better place now.
Well, I remember defoliant missiles was the funniest thing that I ever read.
Oh man,
just you could fire a missile,
nuking plants.
Yeah, you're like you can put this missile in your missile launcher and destroy that piece of terrain. Also, everybody had access to all their weapons. Space Marines could take Shrike catapults.
Yeah.
What a good time.
What a cool thing to be able to do.
Oh, okay, yeah, so this was the edition where you were classified as either like a champion, minor hero, or major hero. That's just how it went down.
I want to be a major hero.
I just want to be a minor, because then I don't have to live up to it.
Well, you never be more than 18.
So this was... Man, it's so funny how the box sets went down. So second edition box set was Space Marine and Orcs. And, okay, get this. An expansion box came out for it, too, which introduced rules for psychic powers. Interesting. and it was called Dark Millennium.
What? See, this is the thing. You really have to realize that Games Workshop does not throw anything out.
They don't have words.
Yeah, like they're not good at
No.
synonyms, but they also like just no idea gets wasted. Like you're gonna see it pop up again and again and again.
Man, what a time. So at this point, kind of during Games Workshop, I wonder what year they went public. Doesn't matter. But so they must have been going kind of full tilt Warhammer at this point. Like, I don't think they were probably making board games.
Well, they
anymore.
were like, they were doing occasional like little board games like Champions of Chaos, is it Realms of Chaos? What's the one where you play like different Chaos champions and you're like all fighting against each other?
Now?
No, way back.
I think it was Realm of Chaos.
Yeah,
But I'm like, what I mean is that everything was in this universe.
Yeah.
That's
sort of,
it.
It was
Like,
sort of like
Except for the tap.
it's like
cowards. Not British.
it's like either this is straight up fantasy or this is
Yeah,
this is 40K.
it's in this world or that one. Interesting.
And like I think that on the podcast we've kind of talked about how those worlds were linked at first. Like there was an idea that one of the Primarchs was actually Sigmar.
That's true. I'll be so unhappy with everything.
It's not a thing anymore. There was an idea. There was an actual artifact in one of the old role playing games set in the Warhammer Fantasy world that was just a bolt pistol, like. Which I do like that idea, where it's like, oh, what's your magic artifact? A gun.
It shoots grenade things.
See that man? He's now ravioli filling.
He's lamb. Man is lamb. What a buzz.
So one of the cool things, and we're going to talk a little bit about changes to rules and basically the overall structure, is get this: a Space Marine in 2nd edition was 33 points. A Guardsman was worth 10. So you see, while we go through editions, a steady reduction in how much models cost, points-wise.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious why.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit less faction-oriented, so there was just things like a heavy plasma cannon. That's not a star cannon.
Yeah.
It's not a custom Mega Blasta. It's a heavy plasma cannon, whether it's an Orc, whether it's an Eldar warrior. And then this is what I think they missed out on, and it should have been brought back for 8th edition, was the old Overwatch rules.
Oh, like setting up?
Yeah,
that was sweet.
Instead of always getting Overwatch, you had to set up Overwatch, where it's just like, I set Overwatch. If that person charges me, or if you move into, I'm ready, and I'll fire at a -1 penalty. I really like that.
Yeah, you play orcs. You wouldn't like that.
No, I wouldn't. But but then you're taking it both ways, right? So you have to make those tactical choices.
Yeah, it's funny. I wondered like why that kind of decision came around, because there's a lot of other games out there that do kind of have that like reaction setup thing, like games we don't talk about.
Yeah,
It's true.
Dang, yo.
games that.
Well, let's fast forward to when I was
When you started?
6 years old.
Oh man, 3rd edition. Yeah, I would have been
1998.
Yeah, so I would have been like
Wow, what the hell?
13?
Yo, that's a long edition. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's 5 years.
Yeah, because it wasn't until like
do 'em
Eye
like
of
that in a
Terror
row.
was over.
And here's the thing. 3rd edition did something that we haven't seen them do until 8th edition.
Make a good Chaos Codex.
No.
Because the Chaos Codex was the best in 3rd edition.
Shut
It was
up.
So
oh my
good.
god, Nick, why do you suck so much?
Because you are very easy to piss off.
That's true. I'm mad all the time, Captain. But so the rule book came out, and there's rules for every army in the 3rd edition rule book.
That's right.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's something that like we haven't talked
It
about.
wasn't full though. It
No.
was
like
you could play. Like you could buy the rulebook and just play.
Yeah, it was sort of an index in the middle of the book.
Yeah,
Kind
true.
of
And it had like all the weapons for all the different factions in there, so for ease of access and getting a hold of that.
And like the Inquisition, you could use some of their models in Imperial Guard armies.
Yeah.
It was pretty rad.
Yeah. So one of the things that I liked about 3rd edition, besides the Chaos Codex and having a Demon Prince who ignored invulnerable saves and insta-killed everybody, was how cover worked. And the way cover worked was it was done by levels. So infantry was level 1, tanks were level 2, bigger things were level 3, and buildings had the same thing. So infantry couldn't shoot through infantry at other infantry without making a cover save happen. Vehicles could shoot over infantry with no penalty. And it was just like the levels made way more sense. So it was a little bit less...
It was logical.
It was logical, and it was much more like you're not playing what's there, right? Like this building here, that's representing a ruined structure. You're not seeing all of it.
Yeah, I like 3rd edition, especially that rulebook, which I still have. It's in almost tatters, but it is like incredible. It's kind of neat to go back and read these things because Games Workshop back then was very kind of hyper aware of the fact that all they could do is create rules for a game and pump out miniatures and paints. Like that's all they could do. They didn't have, the resources to like create this whole world around it in the sense of like making terrain. So like you'd open the book, and also just painting. They like open the book and it would say like, hey, like this is how you paint a model in the rule book. And then like, hey, you don't have terrain. Here's what you do. You take a stack of old National Geographics and you put a green tablecloth, which you would own for a godly reason.
I had one.
It was the 90s.
Yeah, I was 6. And then you throw it over, and then you've got hills. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, here's what you do. You like cut up all this trash and stick it together on a piece of plywood and spray paint it black, and now you've got like this and that.
That empty deodorant can.
That's a land speeder.
That's a land speeder now.
And that speeder was invented.
The Marsh Racer.
But you're absolutely right. Like
discovered by Harold Marsh.
There was a lot more of that, like go outside of our current product.
Yeah, and
I complete this hobby.
Man, I'm realizing how much like old reading material I just should have brought. But then that was the only time they came out with the Citadel Guide to Making Terrain. It was this book that came out that would actually tell you. It had 2 sections for 40K in fantasy, and it told you how to scratch build incredible terrain. And now it's like you don't get that. Now it's like, yo, we sell all of this.
Yeah.
Right. So
the internet still exists, though.
Yeah. No. Of course. And if you get on Encounter Wargaming's Patreon, you'll gain exclusive access to terrain making tutorials.
Jay is
before it's
excellent at just like cranking out, just like, hey, do you want to throw terrain? Bam, this is how you do it. It looks good. It's easy. Like, dude knows what's up.
Very talented. He can pour gallons of plaster into a dumpster and it'll come out in 16 incredible game tables.
Look what I've done.
Yeah, wow, that is I don't know how you did that.
3rd edition had a lot of...
Do you guys think that Jay is an orc?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Very much so. 3rd edition had a lot of expansions.
I mean that with all the love.
3rd edition, that's when Codex Eye of Terror came out, right?
And City Fight, and Codex Armageddon. So it was like, you had a whole bunch of mini codexes where it's like, kind of like expansions in D&D or other games, right? Where like, hey, you want to reenact this battle? Here are the forces that were there. But City Fight, I remember the City Fight Codex. I still have it on my shelf. They actually walk you through a battle report. It's awesome.
No, I remember there was a White Dwarf that came out, and man, the way they did battle reports back then in White Dwarf were so sweet. Like it was just so many photos, and they do like little charts with the yellow arrows and then like little things where people got hit. And that was the thing too. Like so in the all the codexes, like the Space Marine 3rd Edition Codex, which is actually the best because at the very very end they have this like blurb of that's literally just like a day in the life of a Space Marine.
Yeah,
it's like this timestamp thing that's like at this time. He
brave.
might even perhaps enjoy an alcoholic beverage, and I was like, wow, Space Marines get wasted.
So do you guys remember anything from 4th edition? Because I don't.
That's when 4th edition is when, isn't that when like psychic specific rules came out. It wasn't just like a power in the profile where it's like psychic beam and
I
it was
think
just
it
like a
was
shooting
always
attack.
just like a leadership test.
Yeah, like I think wasn't 4th edition when it was a
My understanding is that was 5th. Because I skipped.
no, not
fourth.
hold on.
6th introduced a psychic. No,
Yeah, it
7th
wasn't a
introduced a psychic phase. I don't remember 4th edition at all.
4th edition that's the Battle of McCrag box set. That's all I
Yeah.
remember from it. To be
Yeah,
completely honest,
it was like 2004.
2004.
Yeah,
Man, another very long edition.
But
Yeah.
there
But there were
were
expansions.
Tau. This was when Tau came out.
No, Tau came out in 3rd.
yeah,
For
And
sure,
the-
it came
and
out in
the
3rd.
yeah.
Yeah,
the
well,
third
in
town-
3rd edition, Tau came out along with Necrons,
Necrons.
and that's also when the Demon Hunters and Witch Hunters came out
I
towards
am
the end.
not-
Well, man, think about it. 98, 2004. That is 6 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time to like keep a game a going. So
Guys, I have no memory of 4th or 5th edition. I'm not gonna lie.
editions were so long.
And like,
4th edition. This edition did not feature as many major changes as prior editions and was backwards compatible with each army's 3rd edition codex. I'm so glad those days are over. The 4th edition was released in 3 forms. The first was a standalone hardcover version, just the book. And then you could either get the box set, and then there was just like a limited collector's edition box set. That's the one that came with the Aquila lander, right?
yeah, the
Crashed.
crashed one.
Yo, if someone's got one, hit this
That was
fella
Gene
up,
Steelers
brother.
and Ultramarines.
And that like captain dude with the gene seed.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I got that model kicking around somewhere.
Man,
I love that guy.
I need the lander.
The crashed
Man,
one.
Yeah.
So what
Want.
was 5th? We have like, dude, the club has so many. Someone donated like a box of 5 of them.
I need to just move to this ridiculous city.
Yeah, come on. Spotify has
what's-
an office
what-
here. Come on, dude.
Spotify?
That's not where I work.
But Spotify has an office here.
I know what I did.
5th edition. Again, no memory of this.
5th edition was a big one.
I don't like.
That's when Grey Knights started popping off.
Yeah, that's like Psychic got bigger.
Yeah.
Grey Knights came out.
You could deep strike, like everything. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's okay. So new editions, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, this is when Go to Ground came out. I remember this because I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah.
So
Wait, and 5th is when Jink came out, isn't it?
so this is an
Or is it
Ottawa
6th?
Ottawa special.
Yep,
This is Bose.
I guess.
I guess Nick doesn't want us to talk.
I do, but
No, he
we're
just
just
opened
getting
up his
beer.
beer. We're in the middle of something.
Pour that pint. 5th edition releases focus largely on Space Marine forces. I don't know if that's changed. Including the abolishment of the Demon Hunters in favor of an army composed almost exclusively of Grey Knights. Man, the Demon Hunter and Witch Hunter codexes were so cool.
Inquisitorial stormtroopers.
Man,
Chimeras.
if they do not bring that back, I will trip.
Why would you not like? Hey, it's basically if you went to the Vatican and gave like the Swiss Guard just
Yep.
Yeah,
Guns. They have
They have
Just make
guns.
them acolytes with a better BS.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got old school Kazarkin
Thank you.
painted in black and red, like Inquisitor scheme,
so
and they
cool.
look super sick.
Ah.
And, I can't really use them for anything cool. Another major change was the shift from metal figures to resin kits. Good God.
Oh,
what
fine
happened?
cast.
I remember though, because 3rd edition was the first all plastic set. Like, here you go, build plastic models, bolters that you snip off the handles.
Well, I mean, like that. The importance of
Oh, snipping off handles.
Jess
Oh my
Goodwin's 3rd edition multi-part Space Marine kit changed the trajectory of wargaming as we know it.
Yeah, I've still got some of those guys for sure. Yeah, that box set came with 10-man tac squad, Sergeant Dude, and a land speeder.
Yeah, 5th edition was also when Horus Heresy came out. 'Cause
Really?
one of the craziest things
Ah,
was, in this edition, vehicles didn't have hull points, but the armor system was still around. So I remember you could play a game
I was glancing hit.
and you could just hit a vehicle 100 times with a las cannon and it would not blow up. You would do a penetrating hit and you roll a 1.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah,
did it with
there
a
was-
glancing hit and it would explode.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like either you did something detrimental to it, or you didn't, and either you killed it or it didn't.
That's
So
why Necrons were so fun, because you would just march a phalanx up and just
I
jinx stuff
remember-
to death.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Ross.
remember when the Monolith came out, and that was
did I
just
say?
like that was the biggest.
Jink.
Yeah, the Monolith when it came out was the biggest plastic kit.
Yeah, it was huge. It was just it's
So
just a box.
It's just a big box.
That's why in book 1 for the Horus Heresy, none of the vehicles have hull points listed, and the super heavy vehicles have structure points.
So
That's wild.
quick revert. So actually, going back to 3rd edition, 1998 is actually when the sub company Forge World was created, and they were specifically made to create terrain and large scale models such as the Thunderhawk, the 30-pound Thunderhawk.
I remember being at the battle bunker. Like, this was before the internet had really taken off. And the internet's done a lot for Games Workshop, and we'll talk about that when we move into the future. But this is where they started getting the internet. But when you wanted Forge World models, you had to go into a Games Workshop, look through a catalog, and pick out what you wanted.
Dude, those holiday catalogs that were like 120 pages were the best, man.
Oh,
The best. Just
That-
actual photos. You're like, oh.
that joy has been replaced in my life with the IKEA catalog because I'm an old man.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like I remember poring over those catalogs, just being like, do you remember when those catalogs would have bit like part numbers?
That's-
Yeah, yeah.
that's
It
what
was
I'm
a
talking
catalog
about, yeah.
number. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, hey, here's the SKU for a plasma cannon that's made of metal that comes. The Devastator Squad box was metal and plastic. Like, what?
You could order
Those do
any
not go
bits.
together.
Like,
They don't.
I built a Noise Marine Army way back when this stuff was out with the 3.5 codex.
Did you like that?
I did, and I was just able to order 30 metal
Yeah.
sonic blasters.
It was unreal. And that's when they had the skulls. System.
Oh, the silver skulls.
That was the best. Dude, I have the Ultramarine Standard Bearer that was the Skulls reward. The one who's got, like, weirdly skinny thighs. Mm-hmm. And he's holding this, like, incredible banner. It's like, he's holding the banner, he's got his bolter out on one side, he's got, like, the Coachella crown. And he's got these, like, tiny little power armor legs. But I still have that, and that was the Skulls reward. And
Wait,
That-
do you think that the Forge World limited edition
Harold?
that you have is an homage to that bad model?
No.
No.
I think this is bad in a different way.
But like it's similar, like the weird legs, the dope banner, the
love that
arm
model.
being on a weird
I
thing.
made a dope conversion with that model, but keep talking and I'll show you and we'll go ooh-ah on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll show you mine after.
So then we
Show you
have
first.
the slow.
But just
Okay,
to go back to the skulls thing, that was the thing that introduced me to the Mechanicum, because the biggest prize you could get back then was a pewter box set of just weird Mechanicum dudes.
Weird tubes and
Yeah,
stuff.
just like yeah, it was wild.
Man, that was like you could get some cool stuff. Like that's the thing when I like pulled out that box from under my bed, I was like, man, I have some like old, very cool models.
so 6th edition. Don't really want to talk about anything here except for hull points and flyers, because that edition sucked. Also 7th edition, not a good edition.
Not a bad edition either.
No,
Just bloated.
The rule
Just
set was solid.
silly.
Rule set was solid.
Just crept.
It was the alliance system and formations. But this was when they moved away from the force organization chart.
Was that in? Were there formations in 6? I literally did not
I don't
play
think
after 4.
so. I don't think there was any formations in 6th edition.
Man, what a strange thing to introduce and then completely destroy the same edition with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like 5th was the weird one. Or 6th was the weird one.
6th and 7th, because they're really the same thing. Because 6th edition was released in 2002, and 7th was in 2014. So it's only 2 years, and they're just
2012.
What did I say?
6. Yeah,
Was it 2002? Yeah.
Yeah.
2012 to 2014. 2 years.
that's so funny because it's just a legitimate like, wow, that was trash. We're really sorry.
Yeah. Whoops.
And then we have 8th edition.
But then, oh, you had to say that and make it all cool. But if you go back, so 6th and 7th was the same box set. They're both Dark Vengeance.
they're both Dark Vengeance, yeah.
Wild.
That's telling.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, so we actually made a lot of these and we thought that, we're just going to use them again. And
We
make
messed
the
up.
rules
We
better.
messed up.
Yeah,
That's a
something-
great
yeah.
box set, too.
It's great. The models were fantastic.
Yeah, Cranon the Relentless or whatever his name is. Awesome model.
Yeah.
Hellbrute Buddy is kind of awkward, and I like, always feel bad when I see somebody's Chaos list and it's all, like 3 Hellbrutes just like, get at me. Just reach for the sky.
A little bit of green stuff working, you can change that multi-melt in whatever you want.
Yeah, that's not the problem.
Green stuff working, all your dreams come true.
That's right. Love green. I'm so good at green stuff. I can make Mother Teresa look like Joseph Stalin.
So we've already talked about
cool.
8th edition a lot and how much we like it, and the issues with it.
Yep. 8th edition's more abstract. It stops trying to be
A war game.
It's funny because you kind of see Games Workshop like, you know, TBTing back to like previous things a little bit. Like for example, when I was getting into Grey Knights and it was the second Codex book that came out, I got that, and they actually like did encourage some conversions because that's when they gave the Grey Knights a chaplain, and they like put in the limited edition chaplain that you can't get unless you want to pay $80 on eBay, which you don't. But they're like, yeah, like we converted him slightly, and I'm like, wow, you hadn't seen that for a long time. Them actually encouraging conversions, and that's like really when everything like Warhammer TV was in full swing. So they kind of are bringing back the like, hey, like let's show you how to paint. Let's instead of just like just buy this. And
honestly, the show you how to paint thing is such a smart investment in your in your customer base.
That's the thing. Well, they completely overhauled the Citadel paint system. I guess is what they call it, because back in the day it was just everything was a paint, and then you had inks.
I remember inks.
Yeah, flesh ink.
I loved inks.
Yeah, they're great.
Like I'd go back to using inks on some stuff.
I'd get inks.
I'd do them right now if you had them.
Do some inks.
One thing that I think it started in 6th or 7th was you started seeing the decline of rules for models that didn't exist.
They straight up stopped.
Yeah, which is, well, 8th edition still had some dregs of them, right? Like a war boss on a bike, a chaos lord on a bike.
Chaplain on a bike.
We can do that now. There's no models. But that's one thing that's, like, as you started talking about, like, showing how to do conversions, but, like, you're right, they put a very big stop to...
They didn't do any of that. They were just like, buy this, buy that. Kind of thing. It's I feel like back in the day, which is probably completely untrue, but like I remember like going to Games Workshop and looking at all the blister packs, where it's like, hey, this has to be run as a 5-man squad, so guess what? You're buying 5 blisters, buddy.
Yeah, you're buying 4 blisters, and you're gonna have a 6th dude.
Yeah, just like it's just so strange, man. Necrons was the worst for that. It's like Necron pariahs, rest in power. You had to buy 4 packs, and you'd have a random 6th dude. But I feel like I was really freaking out when I came back into the hobby and I saw these like plastic blister packs, and I was like, what is this?
Right. There was
like, what do you mean there's one captain model? Like, what do you mean that's it? There's one guy for this. There's one chaplain. There's one, Yeah,
because like time was, captains were maggoty on the ground. Like you could, like I can think of 4 different models right off the top of my head. 5 if you count Terminators. Like, just so easy.
Yeah, there were a bunch, and now it's just like there's a Space Marine there's a Space Marine librarian. Like there were a lot of Space Marine librarians back then.
Tons.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like that's what was my thing. I came back, I was like, what, like I don't get it. Where are the other ones? Shoot me up.
I remember a girl I was seeing got me 4 Space Marine chaplains for Christmas one year. I was like,
they're all different.
Yeah, I was like, that's awesome, but
I will never need this.
Yeah, I was like, who sold you this? I'm gonna go talk to Ron.
It was Adam. I so like that's something I changed too. Man, but there were so many cool things you could do back then, like command squads. Where it's like, the squad consists of a chaplain and a captain.
And an apothecary.
And
a standard bearer.
Yeah, standard bearers, like what?
And a tech marine.
And you buy the tactical squads, and they have little banners, little stickers that you put on the backs.
I mean, those were cool for about 15 minutes.
Well, they were cool until you had to put them on. They were like, well, that's just bad.
Yeah, this sucks. And then like 2 weeks, it's just covered in like short curly hairs, and you're like, I don't like it anymore.
I need to get rid of my cat.
Okay, that's a good way to take that.
So that's the past.
That's the past.
That brings us up to now.
Yeah.
Right now.
So I was looking. So if you want to buy into Games Workshop Group Limited on the London Stock Exchange, you're looking at approximately 2,455 exactly Canadian dollars for a share.
I don't believe that for a second.
Whoa.
That's like something else entirely. Maybe I'm completely wrong. No, I'm right. Games Workshop Group PLC. What's PLC?
I don't know. I'm not.
Power loader. GME is like the regular stock, and that's at like $12.
You're speaking another language now.
$12.79. So that's like actual stock.
Yeah.
So my kind of question is, this company has existed for quite some time. Do you think that it's going to exist for that same amount of time going forward? Do you think this company is going to celebrate 100 years?
I think nuclear war stops a lot of things.
Okay, well...
Not the orcs, my dude.
Yeah, they tried
Paul
that.
and I are going to be playing Warhammer in the bunker.
While they play Warhammer upstairs.
I'm just going to be a giant, like, compound, sprawling organism that...
rolls dice. Ones.
I mean, honestly, I think so. Like, you know, with video games and mainly video games and the
It's
internet.
a healthy IP.
Well, no, but my point was, like, even with the rise
Yeah.
of video games being super popular, PC gaming, console gaming becoming so accessible, this company has just grown.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's kind of like kept its niche market and just sold to that. It has grown. There's a demand for this kind of tactile feel, and I think, well, I mean, we're already 43 years in, so it's another 57.
And I mean, something we kind of failed to talk about kind of going through is that not too far, probably around 3rd edition 2, they somehow swung getting the IP for Lord of the Rings. And they introduced an entire game system around that. So I mean, you have to be somebody to be able to snag that. You know what I mean? And I'm just on their investor history page right now.
How long is that, like, license?
I don't know.
Because
I remember when I came back to the Hobby 2, I was like, oh, it's the Hobbit game now? Like, and it's Forge World only? Like, I don't understand anything.
But, like, you know that once that license is up, someone's going to try and poach it.
Yeah, did you guys play that game at all? I didn't.
No, it sounds really good, though.
I had a Nazgul rider. At
Excellent D&D minis.
Oh yeah, they would be.
But it's kind of that like whole thing now because it's Forge World only. There's a huge accessibility issue. It's like I don't really want to pay £90 for 6 Nazgul bros.
Yeah, they released a Smaug model that was like $1,000.
Yeah, the biggest model they ever made.
Like, don't brag about that. No. Like, we made
got a big Smaug back there.
like, I made something that's so big it's economically unviable.
It's also a dragon. Yeah. So one thing, so like you were saying, like they've grown like crazy. On their investor relations page, they actually say 70% of sales are coming from outside the UK. So it's a vast international company. And the other thing they mention is that they are a completely vertically integrated business, which means that Games Workshop retains control of everything. Mm-hmm. There's no
They distribute.
Yeah.
They retail.
Manufacture. They write the rules, all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering, because Games Workshop, I would say probably throughout the end of kind of like 4th, 5th, 6th, kind of went through this like awkward kind of like dark time, if you will. And then at 7th, you kind of saw a huge change in management and ownership, and that's when like Warhammer TV kicked off. They embraced, the internet.
Yeah, they had a Facebook page.
Yeah, they got on social media.
Yeah, like they
engaged on social media, right? So now we see it all the time. But it's just like that was probably like the healthiest step they've taken.
Yeah,
I think looking at it now, and it's easy to say this now, is I mean, Nick's
an upward trend.
Nick's
shown
showing
us a stock chart and it is going quite up.
It's basically a hockey stick
from 2017, which is what we're talking about. They've basically more than doubled their value.
Guys want to split on a share or what?
Retire on my nerd money. What I do think that taking that like step back from social media at that time was very crucial because, and it's easy to say that now, but the company wasn't in the same mindset that it is now. It didn't have the same way of engaging. I think it would have been way more combative. And I think they would have damaged their reputation.
Yeah.
Like, basically by not being in the conversation, they just let whoever wanted to dominate it. But once they came back, just being in the game then allowed them to control the entire conversation of their social media presence. And I think that's huge. I think that
you need to have somebody who has the strategy. You can't just be like, we have a Facebook page because we're supposed to as part of our business model. It's like, this has to be an essential part of your business model.
They announce FAQs on it. They do the entire live thing on Facebook.
Right.
It's nuts.
That's huge. It's not just, hey, we released this today. It's like
they weathered not having it, and I think that really helped them.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time, it wasn't a good idea, but they made hay out of what they had.
Yeah, and I think I think they could stick around for a long time. I mean, it's one of those things. There's always a danger of whenever a company goes public, your chances of that company surviving apparently immediately drops by 40%. It's just as soon as there's shares involved, you're screwed. But it's one of those things. It looks quite healthy. The very nice hockey stick trend. But what's interesting to me is that, I mean, obviously, things caught up to them, video games. You got the Dawn of War. You got, the really strange spin-off ones. And you guys have already talked about that before a bunch of times. But, now we're seeing a lot of other kind of third-party things happen. We're seeing, it just came out, that Hell's Reach series on YouTube that the guy's making. There's one that's called, I don't know, Astartes or something that somebody's making. There's that Inquisitor one that I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Dude just comes out with, crazy character models, but no story.
Yeah. And awful voice
Death
acting.
of Hope.
Yeah, that crazy... That one's amazing. That trailer was sick. But so it's one of those things, all of this stuff is obviously, they put it on whenever you watch these things on YouTube, it says, we are not Games Workshop. We are literally just using this. So it's I'm wondering if that's kind of, a good thing, because a lot of third parties are coming in and taking the universe and creating content for it that otherwise Games Workshop probably wouldn't do. But I'm also kind of thinking the closest thing I can think of right off the top of my head right now is Warcraft, when they now have a feature length film that came out and stuff like that. I'm is it gonna get to the point where it's this thing that is actually almost more detached from the game that people get into? People see this cool CGI movie and they're that was super sick, and they have no idea about this game behind it. I mean, obviously they can read about it and get into it, and they're oh yeah, man, that's cool, I'd play that game, but yeah, you need to put down $500 right now.
Yeah, it'll stuff like that, I feel acts like a dog whistle, where the people that were going to get into it were going to get into it kind of regardless, or would have been the kind of person that would have got into it.
And I mean, I guess because all these things started because people were super into this game. I'm just wondering if it's I feel Games Workshop right now is on this kind of really good line where it's they know they're a game, but they're also kind of building out everything else around it. But I'm thinking if they build out too much, it's just going to implode on itself.
I think
you're not a game anymore.
I think, sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, I really think letting the community develop these sort of tertiary things, like your Hell's Reach or your Death of Hopes, that's a really cool way to have a community take ownership of it. Because it'll feel there's a thing that we did as a community, Warhammer fans. So I don't necessarily think that taking that away or taking control of that is a good idea, because look how cool Hell's Reach is, and look at the tightly coiled turd that Ultramarine the movie is.
Yeah.
You know, sure, you got William Hurt, but that's where you put all your money.
One thing that gets me about Games Workshop is they make the game system, right? But there's so much more to the universe, and I think in order to survive, I think they're going to have to be a little bit looser with their control of their IP. Because, for example, I would love an easily accessible RPG system. They're not capable.
Dude, there's a million RPGs.
They're not super easily accessible. Dark Heresy is $8.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking we got to get hard into this. Better board games, better video games, just really just broaden that stuff out.
Yeah.
And we talked about this.
Well, let me tell you, I got
Friday.
a great idea. It's a House on Haunted Hill version.
I know.
Yeah. Exactly like that, though, right?
That's true.
It would be great to have board games that aren't necessarily with the same models you use for the regular game?
It would, but then
I don't know.
Then you're getting into like,
Well,
you're diluting the brand because
Yeah.
right now it is.
I guess that might have been what I was trying to say. Like,
It's-
Games Workshop is like so Warhammer now that it's
Yeah.
like you try to do something else, forget it.
That's what I mean. They shouldn't have to do it.
Well,
they
I'm
should be
saying
like,
you don't want to get into a licensing thing where like I can get like a bomber jacket with the Ultramarine insignia on it.
No,
Like,
you don't want that.
You need to.
I do.
I mean, yeah. Now I said it.
It sounds good. Yeah.
I just want a neck tattoo.
Can it just be a jean jacket?
No sleeves.
No sleeves.
ULT. No.
No. I mean, I can
Can't
just do
knuckle tat
fists twice on my knuckles.
Nice. Impy fist.
Just impy fist. Oh my god. If I get a Sharpie on
Oh, Hogtowner. Right down the road from Tattoo Parlor.
But my main point is like something you said earlier piqued this mindset. Like the people who are playing it are already playing it, right? How do you really get that interest in a younger generation who don't have the exposure? Because we grew up in the era of like the height of Dungeons and Dragons and nerddom. How do you get people to buy the models? You need to have a kind of like step thing. If you can get people interested in the fluff, you can get people interested in an easily accessible way to interact with the characters, interact with the universe and the ideals, and then be like, hey, go spend $1,000 of your parents' money and buy this army.
But I do think that like these barriers to entry, and this is a bigger issue, but like those small barriers to entry where it feels exclusive, that's kind of what builds your community. There's no community around Marvel movies. Like no one's like, oh, I'm a huge Marvel movie fan. It's like, no, you just like movies. Like those are the movies we have now. They're made very accessible. And I don't think you're going... Well, actually, no. You will totally get, like, communities based around that. But I think the exclusivity is kind of what makes it a product that you can say, all right, $50 for 5 tiny plastic Terminators. 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul's talking about 1996 priceless story.
Yeah.
I think that this business model needs a degree of exclusivity to it.
My point is to be the 100-year company, they're going to have to move away from that.
Yeah, you tell that to Jaguar.
That's fair. But even then, they build SUVs now.
Jaguar does?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is comparable. I think they come out with these games every now and then, right? Like these board games and like Betrayal of Calth and Burning blah 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 blah. Like,
has anyone ever played them?
No,
I don't even think that
there's
rules for that.
Of course not. So like
the
only games that they've brought back that have actually done well is stuff like Necromunda, because that existed. It's existing again, right?
Yeah.
So it's just basically taking the ease and lower barrier of entry of the hobby now and saying like, okay, but here's the rules that makes sense for it now. So here you go. And people are like, it's a great skirmish game to get into, but it's also like, wow, a huge player base of Necromunda are people who played Necromunda. So none of those games that have really come out were purchased for the game. They were all purchased for the models that came with it. So it's like they're kind of trying, but that's what I mean. Like it's so still Warhammer. Like you buy Betrayal of Calth, like I have bought Warhammer. These are Space Marines. They will be in my Space Marine army. I'm not actually going to play this game.
Yeah,
because it's Warhammer, and that's not what Warhammer is. Because Warhammer for the last 7 editions, excluding Rogue Trader, maybe even the last 6, because second edition wasn't really battles. It's like that's what the game is. That's what these models represent. And I feel like if they even try to like make another game system, I don't know, like that, people might go for that more than they go for random one-off board games that have Warhammer models in them.
True. I mean, like they tried that with Dreadfleet, but also who was asking for a fantasy-based sailor combat game?
So like the ones that have come back, Necromunda and Blood Bowl, which existed way back in the day, so people are down. You know what I mean? Like I've never really met anyone who's like new to this and are super psyched about Blood Bowl. It's all people that were like, man, look at this, check out my old Blood Bowl models, you know? And we've seen again, like there's rumors of this like Adeptus Titanicus thing coming out, which is probably going to be way different than it was before, and like people are like sad, like, oh, like why aren't they bringing back Epic? But like we've seen like 3 times now that when Games Workshop tries to make a game that is still Warhammer but in a different scale, it just fizzles out. Because why do you can't ask people who've invested, probably in our cases,
Don't even do it.
Won't even say it. Won't even say it. That amount into a 28 millimeter, that isn't even 28 millimeter anymore, it's like 32.
Yeah.
Scale game.
Heroic.
Big hands. Into a game that's not that. It's like, yeah, hey, so like you've got like your Night Titans that are huge and super fun, and they beat it up, and now we want you to buy a Night Titan that's actually only 4 inches tall because there's this other game we've got. It's like, you can't do that. And like Inquisitor didn't work at this weird scale.
No.
Battlefleet Gothic came and went pretty quick. Epic was epic.
I feel like Battlefleet Gothic they put out and then just didn't support, and then like 4 years later they were like, why didn't this sell?
Yeah, that's true.
I remember it having a wall
resurgence
in a Games Workshop.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
Battlefield Gothic was.
Well, it had this specialty games that you could go over and be like, what are these? And they'd have them set up and stuff. But it's like, man, like you can't have this giant in this one scale that people love and know, and then attempt to try and sell them on something in a different scale. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, just sell.
People are pissed off enough when Primaris Marines come out. Not even because they're Primaris Marines with different rules. Is we have like, oh, I've got now this tactical squad that look like
bigger,
lame next to these way cooler looking things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, last point, like when I was talking about like expanding things, like what really pops into mind for me was like my first experience with Dungeons and Dragons lore was the Lords of Waterdeep board game. You guys ever played that?
Nope.
No.
That was a really, really fun game that was set in 5th edition, I think, Forgotten Realms D&D. And there was no combat. It was all like a town session in D&D. You're like crime lords in a town trying to curry influence. And it's honestly one of the best board games out there. It's won awards because Dungeons and Dragons, whoever owned the IP, was like, hey, you're a fantastic board game maker. Make something with this. Make something great. And then people will get into it and be like, hey, I've played this game like 6 times. What's the fluff? Oh, Dungeons and Dragons? I thought that was for nerds. I'm going to give it a shot now.
Man.
You just you do like I know what you're saying about how barriers of entry build those communities, but in order to like
it or a perceived barrier of entry.
Yeah, yes. I would say perceived because it like builds this kind of exclusivity, but at the same time it's like now like with Dungeons and Dragons 2, it's like it's something comes up like whatever it's called, like Critical Role, and now people are like, yo, Dungeons and Dragons is sick.
Yeah,
come over to my place.
Yeah, we need Dan Herman to write a community episode about Warhammer. We'll be fine.
It was in our
so
once.
Let's do.
Was it? Oh, yeah.
We could do like a kind of lightning round. Like, do you think that Games Workshop is always going to be Warhammer?
I think they're always going to be the scale they are, because what you were saying kind of speaks to what I think a lot of their problem is, or like not problem because they're doing fine. You saw their style.
Yeah.
But I think like they need to sort of just dominate this area that they're in. And
so, for them to be a 100-year company, do you think they're going to introduce another setting besides the 2 we have now?
Well, they did introduce Age of Sigmar, which would be getting into the Realms thing. It's technically another setting from fantasy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
I agree with you.
I think they'll have to continue things. I don't know if we'll see another setting, but well, maybe.
I feel like in terms of I personally think in probably the next, I'd say by what year is it? What year is it? 2018. So I'd say by 2025, 40K is going to end, and you're going to see like Age of Sigmar situation.
Yeah,
they cannot milk this like minutes to midnight thing any longer than it is.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I thought it was going to happen for 8th. Everyone did. And then it was like, nope, sorry. Just still,
Yeah, because like the metaphor I keep using is when are we going to get to the fireworks factory?
Yeah.
Like there's one...
It's the same with Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
You've been dragging this out for 10 friggin' years. When does the Siege of Terror happen?
Yeah, well,
know
that's
it
it, and
happens
that's
for
kind of
real.
a thing, bummer too, because like you know, like that at least like universe, like storyline, when people will actively support it, it
Yeah.
has to end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because 40K is
Apparently not.
Yeah. Well, hey. Yeah.
One day.
So I think when that ends, like I'll be interested to see kind of what happens. But I think since they've already adapted to this like Age of Sigmar similar rule set, I think the like change would be quite easy. But I'm just wondering what's going to happen. Like, is something going to leave? Is something going to?
I think we're seeing the setup for like the 5 or 10 year plan. Like
Yeah.
Primaris
Yeah.
are kind of a canary in a coal mine, just being like, hey, this huge range that we have is changing scale a bit.
Yeah. That we have had since day one.
Yeah,
Like,
so get ready for
Yeah.
this.
man.
And you know what? It's a better way to do it
Yeah.
than just like, hey, guess what? Nagash blew up the world. Isn't that what happened?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think just like Chaos won and it was tight. But it's like there was that issue of White Dwarf that came out that shows like the anniversary and it was like legit just like, yo, Fantasy Battle is ending. Next issue, Age of Sigmar begins. It's like what? Like that would be such a traumatic month. Just like waiting for that to come in the mail. Mom, check the mail.
Good talk, guys. Are you sticking around for fun time?
Yeah.
Be a quick 5-10 minute one.
Fuck it, why not?
Okay. Fun time. So due to a technical error, we did this already, but then it got deleted and it was supposed to be on the last episode. You may have noticed there wasn't a fun time on the last episode of Inches and Cube. But this really fits in well with our theme tonight. And we have somebody who hasn't heard it.
Perfect.
So it's perfect.
You know how much I love people that haven't heard my dumb stories before.
Delete this.
It's hard to find. So let me tell you about the tale of Chief Librarian Astropath Ilian Natase. Ilian was born to a human mother on the world of Badab following the expulsion of the tyrant in 912 of the current millennium. His father was an Eldar mercenary. Whoa. Because apparently their parts fit.
I think
It's a hot conversion.
The youngster was gene tested at birth and, in accord with the law, was taken into imperial custody. He was reared in the government compound by the Imperial Mission, which took over the running of Badab after the war. So, along with other potential psychics, he undertook a journey to visit the Emperor, kind of like a field trip sort of situation, except they were stuck in psychic null holds with lots of screaming and probably yelling. And was soulbound with the Emperor. He was then recruited into the Administratum as an astropath and was a consul, helping to run the Adeptus Terra's advisory senate to the master of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica.
holy smokes.
Following that, he undertook 4 years service with the fleet, 2 years with the Dark Angels, and then was appointed chief of the McCraig Interstellar Communications Link under the jurisdiction of the Ultra Dash Marines.
Yo.
This is making my fluff bone.
He's now
hurt.
76 years old, but because of his Eldar parentage, shows little signs of aging.
Like, I don't even know where to start with what's wrong. 1, Dark Angels. 2, Ultramarines. Yeah, everybody knows that's stupid.
He was not a space marine. He was never. He never
was
went
with
through the
them.
ranks. But he's chief librarian of the Ultramarines.
But not a space
But he's
marine.
not a space marine.
Chief phony.
Yeah. What a punk.
What's this guy's name? Ilian?
Ilian Natase.
How do you spell that?
Ilian Natase.
That's it.
That's just
Ilian.
reading it.
Yo.
Yeah, he's so
He's in
weird.
power armor.
Yeah.
What a joke. Oh, you didn't even say the fun side note.
What's the fun side note?
Fun side note.
He said fun side.
Sorry, it's not as fun as that. Fun side note, named after a Romanian tennis star of the 1970s, Ili Nasty Natase, affectionately called the Bucharest Buffoon.
Bucharest Buffoon.
Buzz.
Oh, goddamn Iron Curtain athletes.
That's amazing.
All cranked up on Nazi science.
Well, that guy, that's it. That's how Games Workshop survives.
Yeah,
Bring this guy back.
But
man.
like Badab being like, oh, the tyrant's gone and the planet's fine. No, it's not. It's in a bad way. Like, just the bouncing around chapters, being an astropath that lives past 70.
Also, Eldar DNA contains considerably more base pairs than human DNA, and their DNA contains more helices and therefore binds differently, so they wouldn't actually mix with human DNA.
So, actually,
Paul's gonna freaking have to know.
That's who did that? Who said that? The internet? Tell it I hate it. Tell it I want to fight it. I'm going home, Nick.
I can't leave. Someone on the internet is wrong.
So Eldar reproduction also involves 5 different stages of a zygote.
Blah, 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 blah.
What,
So-
like mitosis? Meiosis?
Yep.
Both? Both.
So apparently Eldar need to...
Isn't there a crystal stage?
no, Eldar need to have sex with the same partner multiple times
They
to
have
produce
sex
a
with
viable
ghosts.
offspring.
So it's like 3D printing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Eldar can't have one-night stands.
Yes, they can. They just don't have babies.
That's
it
fair.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's such... What? So they can do that, and they also can just not die and be in bones and shit.
Yeah.
Wraith bone.
Something about souls.
Wraith boned.
Also, he was half Eldar. He'd be immediately killed.
Well, yes.
We're completely overlooking that.
Just incredibly good looking human.
Mm-hmm. I think that's basically like... Who's the equivalent? Who played Loki? What's his name?
Tom
Hiddleston?
Hiddleston?
Yeah.
Really?
That's a good-looking man.
I think Clive Owen's a handsome fella.
That's fine.
Russell Crowe.
Really?
He's a handsome man.
I mean, if we're talking about the handsome man, it's Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's kind of Eldari looking, isn't he?
he is.
He is
Settled.
alien.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
That
night.
was fun. So, hobby progress. Well, I re-greased my...
Well, I greased up my greasy boys.